What's up? What's up?
What it do, Bean Crew? It's your boy Savon Thomas, back with another episode of Coffee and Comments. And today we're going to review one of my favorite movies of all time, and that's Inception.
What's the most resilient parasite? An idea. A single idea from the human mind can build cities.
But before we get into our review, if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to the channel, like this video, and let me know in the comments what you think about the movie Inception, or if you've seen the movie Inception, what's your theory? I feel like everybody that's seen the movie has a theory on the movie. I definitely do, and I'll get into that towards the end of the review, but let me know your thoughts on the movie. Just to get it right off the bat, for me, this is a 10 out of 10. This is one of my favorite movies. I actually rewatched this movie thanks to my guy Sean over at Review It Yourself. Check out his podcast. It's on Spotify, Anchor. You can find him on Instagram as well. Again, Review It Yourself podcast. And so I went back and rewatched it, and there's a couple things that I forgot. I forgot how much action was in this movie. Like I love this movie. First of all, the reason why, I guess let me start off with that. The reason why I love it is because, one, it makes you think. There's so many movies out there that I enjoy that make me think. Like, if it gets my mind turning and twisting, I'm going to love it. Because I love puzzles, I love thinking, I love like analyzing things. And if it's too simple, I'm tuned out. But if it's like a mystery or a thriller, I enjoy it a lot. So this movie, there's a great plot line. If you guys haven't seen Inception, I highly, highly recommend you go watch it. But the story, to kind of simplify as much as possible, the guy Leonardo DiCaprio's character gets hired to have this how would I call him? The son of a mogul, like a oil and gas mogul, defuse the dad's companies, because the company is about to be a monopoly in the industry. They're gonna take over, and he's hired by this guy C.E.O. to embed the idea, Inception, into his head that he needs to get rid of his dad's company or diffuse it into different parts and sell off the business. So it's not a monopoly. And so they have to go on a journey of creating, get Inception and instilling these ideas into his head. That is the simplest idea of that plot that I can give out without spoiling it. But literally, there's so much more. I can talk about the plot for hours. Like, it's so in-depth and meaty, but essentially that's the plot. But I love it because it makes me think. The storyline is perfect. The cast is phenomenal. Everybody plays their part well, right? You have Leonardo DiCaprio. You have Tom Hardy. You have Joseph Gordon-Levitt. You have then Ellen Page, now Elliot Page, right? You have a cast that plays their roles well. And there's a whole bunch of other characters as well I can name. Those are the ones top of my mind that I know that are phenomenal in their roles. Like, everybody in this movie plays their parts to a T. Leonardo DiCaprio should have won an Oscar for this movie. Revenant, he did a great job, but all of his things from Revenant, they were more of like nonverbal things. His acting was phenomenal in that movie, but this movie, he did a great job of acting. Phenomenal job of acting. The cinematography and the views of everything, great, right? Hans Zimmer crushed this score, right? So all the pieces of this movie just fit so perfectly together, right? And then you have, the storyline with, Leo's character and his wife, and you're trying to figure out what happened with her and how she died, because she does end up dying in the movie, and you're trying to figure things out. And then at the end of the movie, spoilers for anyone who hasn't seen it, I'll give you a couple seconds to turn this off. He spins the freaking dreidel top, his little memento, or her memento. He spins it, and you don't know what happens in the movie because they cut it off. So then at the end of the movie, it cuts off, and you're like, okay, well, is he still in a dream? Is he out of the dream? You don't know. And something that Sean said to me when we reviewed this was, it's the reality he's chosen. So regardless of your theory or not, whether he's in a dream or not, that is now the reality he's chosen to be in that dream. So he doesn't care if it is real or not. He has now chosen that that's his dream, right? And what he wants to do. But as far as my review of the movie, 10 out of 10. I absolutely love this movie. Everything about it was perfect. I already talked about the cast. Leonardo DiCaprio is my favorite actor. not every movie do I love him in, but for most movies, I do love him in those movies. Tom Hardy was phenomenal, right? He played a smart ass type character, very smart guy, but his role with Joseph Gordon-Levitt was perfect. And then you have Ellen Page, formerly Ellen Page, now Elliot Page, playing just perfect with her role as an architect. And you have actors like Michael Caine coming inside there, and it's just the cast of the movie works so well. And then the plot just plays out beautifully to where you're always wondering, like, you have a full storyline, you have good action going on, and it's mysterious, but it's always just, you're always like, man, what's the next part? What's going to happen next? You're on the edge of your seat trying to figure things out, but then you still have good story and good action, and it never feels too slow. Like, there's parts where it's slow no matter what, but it never feels too slow. Like, you're like, man, I wish they would just hurry up. Like, I wish they would just get to the point, right? You never feel like that during this movie. At least I did. Some people did. Again, a lot of people feel this movie's overrated, which was wild to me to hear that. But for me, this movie is perfectly rated because it's a fantastic movie. And then my theory, just for the people who have seen this movie, my theory is that Mal, his wife, was correct. That they were still in a dream state and they needed to wake up, right? There's a couple different things that I attribute to the reason why I say that's the case. One is Michael Caine says, in the movie, in the very beginning of the movie, I wish you would, come back to reality, right? That's something that he says to him, and that could be just like him talking about like reality as far as just living a regular life. But the way he said it, and then there was like a little bit of a pause, it made me think like he's in the dream with Leonardo DiCaprio's character. He inserted himself in the dream. I feel like, in my mind, Leo's character is dreaming, and he's addicted to dreaming. Like, he can't live his normal life, and everything in the movie points towards that. There's a scene where all the people are down, and they're like, oh, why are they doing this? Why are they, dream all the time? They're like, sometimes you get addicted to the dream, right? And so Leonardo DiCaprio's character, I feel like, is just addicted to dreaming. So he came back from, they came back from, purgatory, and I feel like his character is just addicted. I feel like she figured it out. Like, I know he planted the seed, Inception, and spun it, but first of all, it's her totem. So how can he know? I mean, he knows the weight, but it's her totem. So how can he be the one to dictate what is real or what's not? And so I feel like Mal was right. I feel like they were still in a dream, and she figured it out, and then she jumped. Here's another thing that supports my statement. How long was Leo gone from his kids? It had to be years. Had to be years. Yet every time we saw them, it was in the exact same clothes all the time, which makes sense because it's his dream. So that's how he remembers them last. But then at the very end, when he sees his kids, they were doing the exact same activity they saw when he left. That doesn't make sense. How are your kids playing sunset perfect same thing? They're playing outside with the exact same toys. They have on the exact same clothes, and they're the exact same age. That doesn't make sense, right? Like, if that's the case, then those kids never grew up. Or his wife died like a month ago. And who's been taking care of their kids the whole time? Like, there was nobody else there. Michael Caine was the only person that was there when he walked into the door, right? So, and Michael Caine was in Paris. How did he get from Paris to the United States? And how was he at the airport at the exact same time that freaking Leonardo DiCaprio was? Like, it doesn't add up in those pieces. And if that's what, for me, solidifies that he's still in a dream, it's because his kids are the exact same age. How? Explain to me. Somebody in the comments, please explain to me how the kids, if they've aged like they should, at least a year, not 2 years, they should be older, should be taller. Every single time they saw them, it was in the exact same clothes, with the exact same look, and the sunset playing outside, and he gets back to his house and they're the exact same. It's perfect, right? So his wife died a month ago? No, but the reason why, and it's fun to do stuff like this, is because it leaves the movie leaves it open to interpretation, right? You're open to think about like what happens. Now again, he chose the reality he wants, so regardless of me saying it or not, he said I'm going to choose this reality. But I feel as if that Mal is right and he's not in, or she's in the real world. Maybe, maybe not. But I feel like she, similar to what Ariadne did, was get into his dream. She's inserting herself into his dreams to ruin everything for him, so that she disrupts, his thought. Like, this is perfect. Like, I'm doing all these jobs, and so she's disrupting. She's inserting herself into his dreams and disrupting his dreams. Like, she's messing things up for the purpose of getting him back. Like, she's trying to say, hey, bro, you need to leave here. But he's choosing to stay. So, I don't know. That's my thoughts. I could be wrong. I've been wrong before. I'll be wrong again in the future. But I think for sure that he's still in the dream and Mal was right. So, again, movie's great. Go watch it if you haven't watched it. If you stayed tuned in this far, thank you. I appreciate you. Now I'm just ranting. These are my thoughts. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Coffee and Comments.